The crystalline spires of Kepler 442b's capital city refracted the orange dwarf star's light into 1,000 amber beams as Kievan's shuttle descended through the ionosphere. His hands trembled against the haptic controls, not from fear of the landing sequence. He'd executed atmospheric entries on 47 different worlds, but from the weight of what awaited him below. Neural link stable, his ship's AI announced. Quantum entanglement with the Royal Observatory confirmed. They know you're here, Kievan. He didn't respond. The scientists back on Earth had promised him this moment would come, but 17 years of relativistic travel had turned certainty into something more fragile. Time dilation was a cruel mathematics, 5 years for him, nearly 2 decades for everyone else. The equations were merciless in their precision. The shuttle's hull sang with friction heat as it cut deeper into the atmosphere. Below, the hexagonal palace rose from the planet's crust like a geometric flower, its 6 towers connected by bridges of programmable matter that shifted and reconfigured based on the solar wind's intensity. Somewhere in that structure, Queen Jennifer waited. Jennifer, the name still tasted like copper in his mouth. The Royal Observatory had detected the anomaly first, a gravitational ripple in the fabric of spacetime, emanating from coordinates that shouldn't exist. The mathematical signature was unmistakable, a Casimir cavity collapse, the theoretical foundation for faster-than-light communication that humanity had been chasing for 3 centuries. But this wasn't theoretical. This was real, pulsing, and it was calling. Calling for Kievan specifically. Jennifer had been a quantum physicist then, not a queen. They'd worked together in the sterile laboratories of the Mars Tertiary Research Station, mapping the probability fields of vacuum energy. She'd solved the Hartman-Reeves paradox in her sleep one night, scribbling equations on her forearm with a permanent marker, and Kievan had watched her present it to the Scientific Council with the kind of fierce joy that made stars seem dim. "If we can stabilize a macro-scale entanglement," she'd told him, her eyes bright with possibility, "we can communicate instantaneously across any distance. We could unite humanity across the galaxy." But the math required something no one had anticipated, a human consciousness as the quantum anchor, a mind disciplined enough to maintain coherence across light years, trained enough to resist decoherence. After 6 months of testing, only one person had demonstrated the necessary neural architecture. Kievan. The mission parameters were simple: travel to the edge of the Uit cloud, establish the first macro-entanglement link, and return. Duration: 5 years subjective, 16 years objective. When he left, Jennifer had kissed him in the airlock, her lips cold from the station's recycled air. "Come back to me," she'd whispered. He'd promised he would. The shuttle touched down on the landing platform with a pneumatic hiss. Kievan ran through the decontamination sequence, feeling the nanobots swarm over his skin, adjusting his cellular structure to Kepler 442b's slightly higher gravity and different atmospheric composition. Through the viewport, he could see the reception committee assembling, figures in flowing robes of smart fabric that displayed constantly shifting data streams. But it was the figure at the center that made his breath catch. Jennifer stood on a raised dais, and she was magnificent. The years had changed her. Her hair, once kept short for practical purposes, now flowed in silver-white streams that seemed to defy gravity, held aloft by microscopic antigrav generators woven into each strand. Her robes were deep purple, the color of distant nebulae, and across their surface, equations moved like living things, quantum field theories, tensor calculations, the very mathematics of reality itself. Around her neck hung the quantum crown, not a physical object but a halo of suspended particles kept in permanent superposition, simultaneously existing and not existing, a symbol of her mastery over probability itself. She was a queen now, that much was obvious, but how? The airlock cycled open, and Kievan stepped out into the amber light of an alien world. The gravity pulled at him, 1.3 times Earth standard, making each step feel weighted with significance. Jennifer's eyes, still that same impossible shade of violet he remembered, locked onto him. For a heartbeat, the universe held its breath. Then a young attendant stepped forward, carrying a ceremonial tablet. The boy's voice rang clear across the platform. Kevin Oren Thrace, Quantum Anchor, first of the entangled, pioneer of. Jennifer leapt to her feet, her movement so sudden that the probabilistic crown flickered and reformed around her head. Her shout cut through the formal proceedings like a laser through fog. "He has arrived." The declaration echoed across the platform, amplified by the smart materials of the palace walls. Every member of the reception committee froze, uncertain of protocol. Queens didn't shout. Queens didn't abandon decorum. But Jennifer was running now, her robe streaming behind her, equations scattering into the air like startled birds. She covered the distance between them in seconds that felt like subjective years, and then she was there, her hands on his shoulders, her eyes searching his face with an intensity that made his quantum-trained mind reel. 17 years, she said, and her voice cracked. "For me, it's been 17 years, Kevin." "5 for me," he replied. "I'm sorry, the math." "Damn the math," she laughed, and it was a sound of pure relief. "Do you know what happened while you were gone?" He shook his head, overwhelmed by her proximity, by the impossible grandeur of everything around them. "Your mission succeeded," Jennifer said. "The entanglement link worked. For the first time in human history, we could communicate instantaneously across the galaxy. Colony ships that had been silent for decades suddenly had a voice. Lost expeditions were found. And the data, oh, Kevin, the data you sent back, it revolutionized everything." She gestured to the city around them. This colony was supposed to take another century to establish, but with instantaneous communication coordinating the construction fleets, we built it in 7 years. Food production, resource allocation, defense against stellar radiation, all optimized in real time across trillion-kilometer distances. "But why are you here?" Kevin asked. "And why are you?" "A queen," Jennifer smiled. "Because someone had to organize it all. Someone who understood both the quantum mechanics and the human cost. The colonies elected me to the Interstellar Council, and the Council appointed me as the first queen of Kepler 442b. A symbolic role, mostly, but with real authority over scientific and resource distribution." She took his hand, and he felt the familiar calluses on her fingers, still a scientist despite the crown. "But none of it mattered without you here," she continued, her voice dropping to something more private. "I kept the link open, Kevin. Every day for 17 years I maintained the quantum entanglement protocol, hoping you'd feel it across the distance. Did you?" He had. In the depths of space, surrounded by nothing but cosmic radiation and the slow decay of his ship systems, he'd felt something. A presence, a warmth, a mathematical certainty that someone was waiting. "I felt you," he admitted. Around them, the reception committee had quietly withdrawn, giving them space. The amber light of Kepler 442b's sun painted everything in shades of autumn and possibility. "The mission continues," Jennifer said. "We need more anchors, more links. The galaxy is vast and we've barely begun to connect it. But this time," she squeezed his hand, "this time we do it together. No more 17-year separations. No more relativistic loneliness." Kevin looked at her, at the queen she'd become, at the scientist she'd always been, and saw his future written in quantum probability. "Together," he agreed. Above them, the crystalline spires sang with data transmissions from 1,000 worlds, each one connected by the invisible threads of entangled particles, by the mathematics of love and physics intertwined. And in that moment, standing on an alien world beneath an orange sun, Kevin understood what his equations had always tried to tell him, that some connections transcend distance, defy time, and persist regardless of the universe's attempts to pull them apart. The queen had waited. And he had arrived.